G'day, everybody. Welcome to the FightFit Podcast. We've got Matthew Pillios on the podcast today. Matty is a real estate agent, one of the best going around in Melbourne. Marshall White, real estate agents.
Yep.
And also does ringside commentary, a lot of work with the UFC, combat sports around Australia. So, How are you, Matty?
Great to be here, mate, at FightFit. And a little bit cold here, but everyone's warming up out there.
That's good. Just adjust the microphone to wherever you want it, mate. It's perfect.
Thank you so much, mate. Great to see you, Jake. And I saw you fight as well. Very impressive last year.
You did. You announced the Jake the Rattlesnake.
Mate, you probably had one of the biggest, I reckon you had one of the biggest crowd followings I've seen in a, mate, so you should be proud. Sold a few tickets.
Wrangle together 40 rowdy blokes.
I was going to say, do you get commission for your tickets that you sell?
No.
See, Basher and Paul, if they did that, don't tell Paul I'm saying this.
I'm giving away the business model here, man. I might get in trouble.
Great to be here.
Yeah, no, it was good. And it was a good night when you were doing the fights that night. Do you do every Fight Fit challenge? Yeah,
I've done the last three, so it's been good. I've known the boys for a while. Well, I've known of Paul for a long time. A little bit scared of the great man because he's one of
Aren't we all?
Yeah, one of the tough. Being 40 and obviously a generation older. Paul Fifield was one of the tough men of Victoria, and well respected.
Absolutely. When did you first meet the great man?
I think I met Paul when I started ring announcing about 6-7 years ago, and he was training some boys. And he was just in the corner, he'd say hello, give you that stare, but I'd hear him swear in the corner to his fighters. And I thought, this guy's tough. And knowing a lot of mutual people in Melbourne, heard about him quickly and, great guy.
Yeah. How did you get involved with like the combat sports world?
Mate, because as a kid, I loved it. Grew up in Essendon and my dad, loved footy. But my dad, loved fighting, took me to sort of liked the wrestling as a kid, then went to the kickboxing a lot. And I think Tarek Solak was probably the promoter that started bringing out big names. Sam Greco was someone. So I started loving the fighting. And I think I was speaking to you before we jumped on the podcast. I played in the Essendon Footy League where you used to play, same club as well, Maribyrnong Park.
Yeah, small world.
Yeah, I can't believe I was wrapped, mate. Now I'm even more excited and Marby boy. And I hosted an Essendon District Footy show. But I love the fighting, and I just remember a couple of promoters, and like to say hello to Joe Nader and Sammy LaBruna with Brian Ominger. They gave me an opportunity to ring announce a long time, and mate, I've probably been doing it now for 7-8 years. And then I joined the commentary team. Tarek Solak thought one time, he goes, mate, you're the second best ring announcer, not the first. He had someone else, so he said, I want you to commentate. And I had the opportunity to commentate with guys like Sam Greco and Stan the Man Longanitas, two of the best.
That would have been unreal.
Mate, it was awesome. You know what? I used to say to him, I used to get $150, $250, but I would have done it for free. I was in the late 20s, early 30s, and these guys are legends. If anyone, it's like you commentating with it. You hang out with a UFC fighter for free.
Well, mate, I'd do it for free as well.
Yeah.
Like, believe me, I know what you mean.
Yeah, so, if you love the sport, I had a lot of footy fights and I did a lot of sparring boxing when I was young, but I didn't have any fights, which I probably wish, if I go back in time, I probably would have got beaten up. But I wish I did because I probably just wasn't as focused. But I did a lot of sparring from sort of 20 to 25, but not enough to get into fighting. So I love the sport.
Yeah, so it was always something you kind of like wanted to get involved in. Then when you got the opportunity,
you
just took it with both hands.
Yeah, for sure. So I trained a lot of gyms. Because I was playing so much footy at Maribyrnong, you sort of only had that 4 or 5 months to maybe have a boxing fight or a kickboxing fight. I remember it was one time I was training in St. Albans with a trainer, Louis Carrick, and I sort of got ready for a fight, and then something happened with the promo night. Then footy started back in late November and just sort of went to boxing more for fitness and didn't do as much sparring. So, again, I don't think I was interested, but just loved kickboxing and boxing. Now I've got a huge love for mixed martial arts, but still the highest respect, of course, for boxing and kickboxing.
Yeah. Have you been following mixed martial arts obviously very closely then?
Yeah.
It's a fascinating world, the MMA world at the moment.
It is, what, and it's obviously a growing one. So, mate, at the end of 2006, I was at you wouldn't believe it, Maribyrnong Park footy trip, and a mate of mine, David Weston. Yeah, it was dangerous actually. I don't think I'd had many hours sleep, and I apologise if I've offended anyone now.
To be honest.
Yeah, it was 2006. So, mate, I'm looking now, I was 27 years old, and a good mate of mine, David Weston, he played some AFL for Footscray and Carlton and was a VFL captain for Coburg. We'd got him to Maribyrnong after I think he had a stint with Greenville, and he was into jiu-jitsu, and he bought these DVDs of UFC, and I sat down with him, and obviously not in a great way. We just watched on the couch for 8 hours, and I just fell in love with it. So I always loved kickboxing and boxing when I was younger, but I'm a huge mixed martial arts fan now. I love all combat sports, but I must admit if mixed martial arts and the UFC are great fans. I'm a great fan of.
And I'm jealous that you've told me you've been doing a bit of work over with the UFC in Vegas. And that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I've been a massive UFC fan for as long as I can remember, really. And big fan of kickboxing. When John Wayne Parr used to fight, my
what a legend!
would always have it on TV.
Yeah,
me and my brothers would be watching.
How good is he?
I love watching Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz's fights.
Oh, good fights!
One of my best memories as a youngster.
Yeah.
What have you been doing over in Vegas?
Yep. So what I did in Vegas was because I did a lot of commentating for the AFC, and Adam got me in, and I'm about to go on to Hex.
I actually was watching you, just to cut you off for a second. I was watching you do. Was it Stylebender versus Melvin Gillard?
Yes.
I think you did that fight.
Yeah, Israel. Yeah. And I say to everyone, I can't believe the guy was fighting in Melbourne, Flemington, 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, and it will now be fighting for the UFC middleweight title. So it was. I think I interviewed him after the fight or commentated that fight, but he was awesome.
Did you really feel like he had a star factor back then?
Yeah, I did. You know what? He was the way he destroyed Kelvin that night. Was
Melvin Gillard.
Melvin that night. He beat Kelvin, but recently Melvin that night
he beats all the Kelvins and Melvins.
Yeah, it was he just beat him so easy. I thought this guy's stand-up's really good. I thought at the time he was skinny, but now he's got the conditioning staff to actually make him strong. You can see his core's got a lot stronger.
Yeah,
Jakey.
He's definitely put on a little bit.
So with the UFC, mate, I was just lucky. So huge UFC fan. What happened was when Ronda Rousey came out, I was commentating with the AFC Mixed Martial Arts. When Ronda Rousey came out and they launched it at Etihad, they said this is going to be our biggest event, and they put a fan village. And I was lucky enough to be on stage for the 2 days interviewing fighters, Cain Velasquez. I think Dana White came there, Bruce Buffer, and it was great. Got paid for the 2 days. I got a cage side ticket as well. And I was there with Anthony Koutafidis front row. I'll never forget it. And that's when Holly Holm knocked out Ronda Rousey in front of 56,000 people. So the next year, former AFL player Corey McKernan, I don't know if you remember Corey.
No, I don't.
A gun from North Melbourne. His brother Sean McKernan's at Essendon.
Okay.
He does events. So he does tours. And he said, Matt, I want to do a UFC tour. I want you to do it for us. So I was able to host that because I knew everything about the sport. So I went to Vegas. He had about eight guys. And we took him to the UFC fight nights. We took him to the weigh-ins. And then the next year, Corey sold his business, and I've started hosting the UFC Vegas tour. So the last 3 years in a row, we've been to Vegas Fight Week in July. We might get you to maybe come along with us this year or work something out.
Mate.
And we watch the UFC. I do a fight night. I do a celebrity guest dinner. So 2 years ago, we had Tony Ferguson come in a quiet steak room, on the table. Tony sat with us for 3 hours and ate and drank. Didn't drink much alcohol, which is good.
He would have.
You're so disciplined. Yeah, I think he had a little
6-7 hours a day.
Yeah, I think he had like a sip of wine just to be social. And then last year we had Luke Rockhold and Shane Warne. The year before, we actually had Sean Sullivan, who was Tyson Pedro's trainer, and Bam Bam Tuivasa. And we had Ty there, who was with Mark Hunt. So yeah, mate, it's a great to work with the UFC.
Tuivasa and Mark Hunt and that were all following you on the gram.
Yeah,
Tyson Pedro as well. Tony Ferguson was following you too.
I know. I'm trying to get.
When I saw that Tony Ferguson was following you, I was like,
"Oh no,
how the hell did you wrangle that?" Tony Ferguson bloody doesn't like anyone.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? I'm trying to build. I'm being a bit older, so I'm trying to build the Instagram profile up. So at Matt Pillios, I'm nothing like you and your mate Jordan, but
no, I've got no followers. No one wants to follow me,
mate. The way you fought, mate, mate, it will grow. But yeah, mate, it's a privilege to have. High profile is one thing, but a good person's the other thing. And let me tell you, Tony Ferguson is the best lightweight I've ever seen, and this guy works as hard as ever.
He's
a beast. And I think he's been unlucky with the lack of opportunity early days and then his injuries.
Mm.
But I think he's the guy who, if Khabib was ever going to lose,
that's what I think.
I think El Kaku is the man.
I think he's the man who's going to beat him.
And probably like you, I was a big Conor McGregor fan, and I never wanted Conor to fight Tony because I just thought styles make matches. You know what? McGregor could knock him out, but Ferguson's a hard guy to beat.
I just think that Ferguson's a different beast.
He is.
He's a guy who trains 6 or 7 hours a day.
Yep.
His
the pace.
cardio is completely unrelenting.
Correct.
Last time he lost a UFC fight, there was no women in the UFC.
Yeah.
And if you look at a little montage of all the fighters that he's fought over the last 8 fights, all of their faces have been rearranged.
Yeah.
So
yeah. The Pettis one.
People sleep on him a little bit, man, but he's just
correct. It's because he's not as.
He's in that.
There's
division,
not that one style. Sometimes with there's a stand-up fighter, or there's Khabib's the wrestler, McGregor's the knockout artist. You got different guys, jiu-jitsu, but because he's so well-rounded, people have never respected him like they should. I think the real UFC world have, but he's the real deal.
Yeah, you look at him and like just the way he moves, the way he gets out of things, evades things, the way he throws punches, the way his cardio just is unrelenting. I love watching Kukui, man.
Yeah, he's good.
What was he like as a bloke when you were?
Mate, he was really humble. He was it was really good. I got some great video footage I could show you. The guy was just talking about the UFC. Everyone was asking about McGregor because it was the same weight class.
Nuggets, as he calls him.
Yeah, and he just sort of said he respected him as an athlete. He said as a person, 50-50. He said only because of the trash talking. He said there's sort of a limit you should do. He was very... So I hired him for an hour. He did it at mates rates and he stayed for 2.5 hours, 3 hours. So that just sort of shows the character.
Yeah.
He was, down to earth Aussies. He's just humble about being a fighter. Told us about his training. Just said he lives and breathes it. He's just, I wouldn't say, he's just so passionate and obsessed.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to be sometimes to be the best,
Well, you look at those guys at the top there and it's just like, they're just the elite of the elite athletes.
Bloody oath.
And a guy, even when you look at pro boxing as well, a guy like Andy Ruiz, you sleep on him, he knocks out Anthony Joshua, even though he's got the dad bod. But these guys are just elite. You can't sleep on any of them really.
How many guys who are a bit overweight boxers with heavy hands have made a comeback now since that? So
yeah, the dad bod's made a comeback.
And you know what, boxing's back. I think boxing hit a bit of a hurdle at one stage, but I can just see combat sports is back better than ever, and it's well governed now.
Are you enjoying being a part of that movement?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, look, mixed martial arts and boxing are my two favourites. I always loved kickboxing as a kid, but I think mixed martial arts is kickboxing with jiu-jitsu and wrestling. So I think in a respectful way, and especially to guys like Sam Greco, Joe Nader, Stan the Man Longanitas, I don't say this easily, anyone who was a great kickboxer, but I think kickboxing is a little bit on the way up because of mixed martial arts.
It's one of those things that hasn't really caught on as much, kickboxing, with the current rise of mixed martial arts.
Yeah.
But the only thing that I do think about that is that a lot of people don't like the wrestling and the jiu-jitsu aspect of UFC. Like, they think it's a boring fight, quote unquote, when someone goes to the ground. So I'm like, well, why don't you guys watch kickboxing, or why don't you watch Muay Thai?
Yep.
I guess maybe because the elite of the elite talent is in the UFC.
100%.
It's the most exciting.
Yep.
And the most widely covered sport.
You're right. I think the best athletes and the most talent now, 95% of them are in the UFC, or if it's in Australia, Hex or AFC. So, there's Bellator, Invictus, other big promotions. So I think the money now in kickboxing isn't as big, hence why the better stars don't go there. And the other thing is too, I think people, once they're into mixed martial arts after the first year or two, they get okay with the wrestling. It's, Khabib is Floyd Mayweather. He holds a guy down for 4 minutes. He sort of bashes him a little bit. There's no big knockouts. I think the UFC and mixed martial arts have bent the rules a little bit to make it more of a stand-up fight, because at the end of the day, it's the fans.
Yeah.
Ratings and money.
I think, and Dana White is like no sort of, he
hates those boring fights. Yeah.
He's not shy about saying it either. That he wants the excitement. Have you met Dana White?
I've met him at the Etihad Stadium. I shook his hand. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to interview him because the deal was Bruce Buffer's the only one to interview. But I can say one thing about Dana White. He's, to me, the greatest ever promoter. And I reckon anyone who does disagree, that guy now has to be the greatest ever promoter. The fights. I think Don King, when I was a kid, was known, but Dana White is the man.
It's very hard to argue with that. He's outspoken. He says what he wants to say, but he's also never lets that get in the way of business, which I like.
Talks the talks, but walks the walk.
Yeah, he always gives. But the thing about UFC is that it's not like boxing where there's the politics where people can avoid fighting the best. The best are going to fight the best. Yeah,
and the thing with the UFC too, Jake, is I don't think boxing, there was in America especially, and sometimes there was always that, was it rigged? Was it fixed? occasionally. I don't think we've ever had that with the UFC. It's such a great brand, and now it's been bought out. Even it's gone to a bit of a more corporate level, but he's done an unbelievable job.
Yeah. So if you look at where it started from, it's crazy. Like with
and working with the countries to get it in. Like now there's a UFC show 3 out of 4 weeks. That's just, if people actually look back and have a look at the calendar this year, I reckon there'll be 30, 35 cards this year. That's huge. 70% of
Sundays, mate.
I know.
Sit at home and watch the UFC.
It's crazy.
On a Sunday. It's just the best.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So how long have you been into real estate for?
Mate, I've been. My dad was a real estate agent when I was a kid, so I've been. When your dad's an agent, back when I'm 40 years old, so I'm talking when you're a kid. Thanks, mate.
Not a day over 30.
So back then, no mobiles, at home or at the office. He was a real estate agent. So sort of as a kid, I always knew about real estate, but played footy, local footy. And then I got a job with realestate.com about 10 years ago. And then I was really enjoying it. And I thought, I'd retired from Maribyrnong Park, had a couple of kids, and I saw the money and opportunity. So I've been actually in real estate sales for about 5 years. Been in the industry for about 7, 8 years. And, on the weekend had a good result to win an award with the company and become a partner of Marshall White.
Oh, okay, man. Awesome.
Which is the Bayside. So
you've just become a partner then?
Yeah, as of last week.
Congratulations,
Thanks, mate.
Well done.
Thank you. So
I thought you would have already been a partner. I thought because you do so well for yourself.
I know. Look, it just it took a while, and I've only been there for 18 months, so they've actually got me quick. I was with another company prior to that, Buxton, which are good people, and then went across to Marshall White, which is an elite group. They really work the money belts in Melbourne, so they'll do Port Phillip, which is South Melbourne, Port Melbourne, all the way Albert Park, St Kilda. They've got the Bayside office, Elwood, Brighton, Hampton East, Sandringham, Bentley, those areas. Yep. They've got the Toorak Armado area.
Yeah,
they've got the Hawthorn area.
My housemate, his house, the one that I currently live in.
Yeah. Good footballer too, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Big
mate.
Jordan DeGooey. Always seen it. You know what I love about that guy? I go to Vanilla, and Dennis Spanos is a mate of mine, and I sold his place. And Jordan, I reckon, seen him there 3 out of 4 times. No doubt getting free food.
And we're there every single week.
Say hello to him. He says hello back. Met him at the boxing. Great respect. And then
he's a humble kid.
With the kids, I said, "Can I get a kid for the photos?" And the guy, gives the kids a photo. My wife, she goes, "Oh, he's lovely." So he probably doesn't realise his attitude. The
Rubs
snowball.
People.
People talk about him and they say positive things.
I've never seen him reject anyone for a photo, or I've never seen him not give anyone the time of day. So yeah,
it'd be scary. You two boys living together.
Yeah, you'd like to be a fly on the wall.
I know your neighbour, Big Michael, so I might ask him some stories.
He was going to get down to my fight actually last year.
He did. I remember he rang me.
Michael. He's a great. His missus just had a baby.
Yeah, Fiona. Yep.
Yeah.
So there you go. Not too many parties.
Yeah.
You and Jordan might be babysitters.
Yeah.
Okay, look, we want to go out for dinner. Here's $100, boys.
You wouldn't trust us, I don't think. Nah, but he was pretty rapt when I said that you were coming on the podcast.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've got to give him a call actually.
Yeah.
So you could probably get into real estate yourself, mate. It'd be
mate. I don't know. Do you have to do the auctioneering and all that sort of stuff?
I do the auctioneering. So it's funny because I did a lot of charity auctioneers at the boxing and some of the events. Paul Fifield still won't let us do it at FightFit. I said, you can raise some good money for charities, but Paulie's very old school. Bash has said, I'm halfway there. But that charity auction is a lot different to house auctions because it's a different level. You're selling someone's biggest asset. You have to read the play. You've got to be ready to negotiate. You're dealing with mixed vendors as emotions. Think of your parents. I always say to someone and go, they're selling the house that they've had for 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
I think of when they've had their kids and married and memories. So it's a privilege to be chosen to sell people's houses.
It's a really good point. Because these are such sentimental things for people as well. And it's 100%. Like their baby, if they've...
People work their whole lives sometimes. That's all they've got. And, it was funny. I was 15 minutes late here tonight because I was with a family and I went to sign him up and he'd chosen me over another agent. And I could see how stressed out his wife was, and she was asking me additional questions, about the campaign and the advertising money and why has it gone up. And I had to explain that the real estate portals like Domain and realestate.com and all that naturally put up their fees, and they were emotional. So you ride that wave with your vendors.
Yeah. You find it rewarding though to be able to...
Bloody oath. In life, I like to make anyone happy, but in life, to go that extra mile and work hard, and you've made a difference, like 100 grand, 50, 100 grand, 150 grand, $250,000, you get 5 or 10% over market value. And people will just thank you, because some people work a year for 100, 150, 200 grand. And to be able to do, that's what we get paid well, Jakey boy. And mate, you got to, I can't understand some other agents who will just sit there and relax. You know, it's, if someone's giving you the house to sell, it's bloody privilege. And maybe someone emails me tonight, or I answer the phone at 9:30. Someone rings me on a Sunday or emails me on a Sunday, I'll contact them back.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
that's good, mate. That's good. You've been out for 10 years now.
Yeah. So it's going well. It's as I get older, it's taxing on your body. So I've tried to get myself physically fitter.
Taxing on your body? How so?
Just the long hours. So 6 days a week. I reckon. Tonight I met you at around 7:15, 7:30. When we caught up at 7:15, 7:30. So I've had a full day since about 7:30 today. So just the hours you do, because 6 days a week every week. Generally on a Friday I'll do a 3/4 day, but 6 days a week's hard.
So how many hours did you work on a standard day during the week?
I reckon I do an average on 6 days. I reckon the Monday to Wednesday, especially, and Thursday. Sorry, Monday to Thursday. I reckon I do 12 hours a day minimum. Wow. Minimum. So I'm
and you're pretty flat out that whole time.
Yeah, and fast paced. Eat in the car, eat on my desk. I might do a lunch on a Friday for an hour with clients.
How do you keep yourself physically fit?
I train 5 to 6 days a week, probably 5 days a week on average. I don't drink any alcohol, hardly drink any alcohol during the year. So January period, this is Christmas period, and then July period, if I went to Bali for 18 days with the family, so I had a few cocktails. But what I'm trying to do now is keep myself really fit. So I generally probably would drink once or twice throughout the year.
Wow.
To be able to do that. It's a sacrifice for 4, 5, 6 years. If I go and have a dinner, I'll sip on a glass of red for the night. But yeah, it's diet, immune system, heaps of multivitamins, eat well, try to get 8 hours sleep a night.
I was about to say, do you sleep at any point?
Yeah. I try to go to bed at 9:30, Jakey, probably when you're getting home from one of your dates or something. But I actually, I feel bad for my wife, but it's a commitment for the wife and kids to try to get a better life. But try to get to bed about 9:30 and get up about 5:30.
Yeah, wow. And you just add it for the whole day.
I try to train in the mornings. That's the main thing. I just think it's sort of like meditating. So train, you get it out, you feel good for the day. The fitter you are in real estate too, the fitter you are physically, and I reckon mentally it's made us a lot better. I've seen a step up. This year I've really ramped up my training, and it's as fit as I've been since my late 20s.
Definitely looking good, mate.
Thanks, mate. I'm trying to catch up to you younger blokes.
So, that's unreal. So you wake up in the morning, you do the training, you work 12 hours a day, you get 8 hours of sleep.
Yep.
When you were 23, like me, were you this disciplined?
Bloody not. I wish I was. I was really fit though, but what happened was local footy club culture, partying, you'd go out, you'd have benders, which is just, look, that's life. What I say to kids are in their 20s, good to experience it, but really be smart with who you hang out with. Party drugs and all that is always going to be around, but you've really just got to know when to stop. And, we all do it. Or I hope no one ever does it, but it's just a 23, stupid thing. I was going to play footy during the day, go out Saturday night. I wasn't getting home sometimes till 8, 10, 12 and midday or going to sleep. And, I wish that wasn't great. So you get yourself in bad habits. So
that's good that you're honest about that sort of stuff and frank, because a lot of people in their mid-20s are really struggling to find their way with that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and people need it. I think we just need more help, and people need mentors. I think back if I was 23 again, just ask someone, can I have a coffee with you once a month? Have 2 or 3 people that you say in 10, 15 years time, I'd love to be like this guy. And I think that's the biggest thing. If I went back in time, having good mentors, guys that weren't drop kicks, guys who are good guys, because you can still read the play at 23, mate, and say, this guy's a good guy, and say, hey, would you mind if I buy you lunch? You're going to spend $15. Can I just pick your brain for half an hour? I'll lean on you for advice. And that, that's something I did in my late 20s, 30s, but steered me in a good direction.
Well, mate, that's excellent advice. And I've got your number now, so I'll definitely
hit me up, mate.
Texting you up because I would love to be doing some of the stuff that you're doing in the martial arts industry.
Be awesome.
Industry.
Always good to have some good young talent come through. I'll have to start getting on the commentary table, mate. Bit of work experience as well.
I'd love to. That'd be awesome. And also, what's next for you in the future then? What in terms of working with the UFC or your real estate?
It's funny. I say to Marshall White, if I was ever going to leave real estate or never leave for it would be the UFC. But the chances of that happening is very rare. Look, real estate for me is primary. The great thing about being a commentator in media and real estate, there's a little bit of crossover. You do the auctions, you deal with people, you get in front of cameras, social media photos and videos, which is great. So I've just got that entertaining part inside of me. But for me, the main thing is being a great husband to my wife and a great father to my kids. So that by doing that is staying healthy and well and working long hours. So making an income to try to get them to a private school, have a better life, a little bit better than I grew up with. And my parents did a good job, but they did the best they could. You always try to strive to give your kids what you didn't have sometimes growing up. And that's a bit more financial security. So, mate, that's the goal. Then, if I can be, be a real estate agent, but I just have a passion. Like sometimes they go, how do you do the two jobs?
Yeah.
Can you sleep? Like, instead of sitting at a pub on a Friday night, I'll be commentating every second night. If it's for Brian Armature at Big Time Boxing, if it's for the guys at FightFit, if it's for Trent and Hex.
You're doing this very often then?
Probably do about 20, 25 events a year.
Okay.
So Joe Nader's a great guy. I haven't done for a few years. It does power play, one of the best in Melbourne. There's so many good promoters in Melbourne.
Unbelievable.
It's awesome.
I know you're a very busy man, mate. You've got clients to attend to tonight. So I can't keep you too much longer. So if you could, man, just tell us where we can find you, what you can expect to see from your social media accounts that you're trying to build. And
for sure. At Matt Pillios, so it's MATTPILLIOS. So Dad was born in Melbourne, Greek grandparents. Mate, love the Greek culture. Krutofides, always at vanilla with your mate Jordan and yourself. Matthew Pillios at Facebook. What I try to do is I give a lot of property advice, but I do a lot of good stories about. It's all about being authentic. A lot of people's social medias, sometimes I look at them and go, you can tell they've got a social media supplier or marketing person. It's all about being, commentating, emceeing on the spot. You do some stuff. It's not being too controlled, but really professional and slick. I try to be as well. And authentic. One thing I've got a passion for too is mental health. I'm a co-founder and on the board of the Love Me, Love You Foundation. It's all about helping people at your age too, mate. Like it's tough to open up and man up and say I'm struggling, a bit lost in life. And it's about making people aware and say, this guy's struggling instead of teasing going, this guy's a loser. So this guy might be in trouble. And you should always say to someone, if my family, if my brother, sister, mum or dad, how would I react? So it's asking people, are you okay? And it's about, no one ever travels their journey alone. So, that's what I try to preach a little bit to or educate to people because we're in a tough world. There's so much social bullying. There's so much pressure in life. You've got to look good. Social media is put a standard up of a lot of people. So it's you can find us a real estate agent in Bayside, Port Melbourne, basically all around Melbourne can help anyone. Here to help anyone with just about anything in life.
Yeah, that's awesome, mate. And it's it's stuff that transcends just real estate or transcends just fighting or just work. It's having a good personal relationship and
definitely
we do the similar sort of stuff at FightFit. Not me, but Bash and Paul. They have a really good relationship with everyone. Trainers have a good personal relationship, and it's good to know you've got people in your corner, metaphorically and actually in your corner.
Yeah, definitely. There's an old saying that I wish you're in a relationship game in life, and for example, I'm in a relationship game and I sell properties. I'm in the relationship game and I also commentate and MC. You got to have great relationships with people, and then just be really good at what you do, or try as hard as you can and be focused, and everything will just flow easy. And just be a good person. You give in life too. You'll naturally get back as well.
Matty, I thoroughly enjoyed it, mate.
Mate, it's been awesome.
For taking time out of your busy schedule. Much appreciated,
Great
mate.
to be here at FightFit with an ex-Marby Park boy, a bit bigger and younger and stronger, but privileged to be here.
Mate.
Thank you for
having me. Love to do
it
again sometime if you get a minute.
Love to, mate, for sure.
Mate. All right, thank you, guys. See you later.
Thank you.